Well, if you're watching this video, you've seen the title, you've seen the thumbnail. Dale the truck is for sale. This is Dale the truck. Small block Chevy, fuel injection. I have no doubts. So the battery's all charged up. Let's walk around and hit that key. That wasn't so bad. We had to get out and adjust the mirrors so that I didn't take off the side of the truck over here on the side of the garage door. 100% transparency, guys, just like I do in every video. Yeah, Dale has a little bit of a leak coming out of the engine. Even though the engine's been rebuilt, there's a small little leak. I think it's a base pan that's leaking here. This is the power steering. The power steering box leaks, and I'll be talking about that later on in the video. So we do have a couple little leaks here. It's a small block Chevy, guys. They're born that way. So there he is outside the garage for the first time since November last year, and this is being recorded in February, near the end of February. Yeah, sounds good. No issues, and yes, it's full of junk. This is where I store all of my recyclables, as well as a lawn tractor to keep it up out of the off the floor in the garage, taking up valuable space. So once this thing gets up to temperature, I want it to go through that cycle. I'm gonna clean off the back of the truck with all the recyclables and get the lawn tractor off there. And that way I can go over everything about this truck. Let me show you a couple of the small things that need to be fixed on Dale that I am going to fix before I sell it. So in one of my last videos, I'll link it right up here, that I had on Dale the truck, we replaced the heater core. So that's one of the upgrades that we've done on this truck. It started leaking, so we tore the carpet out and we got all that dry. And now we've got to put the carpet back in. So here's the carpet that we've got out of Dale the truck. It's got to go back in, which means the seat has to come out, and we've got to get everything kind of reversed back in the way we took it out. Not a big job. I'm going to do that. In fact, that's what I'm doing today after I get done shooting this video. Another thing that I've got to fix is that power steering leak. So I do have a kit that is basically, it's a reseal kit. There's nothing wrong with the power steering. It works great. It doesn't make any noises. It just leaks slowly over time. I took this truck on a 3,000 mile road trip last spring. From the time I left to the time I got home, it hardly even showed on the dipstick in the power steering that it even went down. But as you can see, she leaks. So we will get that power steering box either rebuilt or replaced. I've got the kit to replace everything, all the seals and stuff. We'll see how that goes. I bought this truck in November of 2019. So I've had it for over 4 years now. I've done everything I've wanted to do to this truck. Maybe there's still a few more things I would like to do, but I'm on a quest for a square body Suburban. So maybe I'll indulge myself on that end. But this truck came from upstate New York, and there's a complete playlist on everything I've ever done on this truck on my YouTube channel right here. So make sure you have an opportunity to go through and see all of that stuff that we've done. Let's go over some of those things right now. The very first things that we had to do was cab corners and rockers. They were rote. There was holes. They were practically falling apart. The inner rockers are done, as well as the inner cab corners, and we put a patch right here on this fender as well as on the same side on the other fender. One of the things that we did not have to do was brakes. All the brakes were good. They had been recently done. We left them alone. But ball joints, uppers, lowers, tie rods, inners, outers, idler, pitman, all that stuff is new, and we made sure that we had the wheel bearings packed on the front just in case, because we didn't know when the last time they were done. The grease was still there, it looked fairly clean, but we just give it a good little repack, had those done. This truck is static dropped. It's a 4/6 drop spindles and coils in the front, as well as a flip kit in the rear. It was the entire kit was Beltec. Why did I go that route? Well, it was the cheapest thing I could buy in Canada at the time. And we did all the work on my YouTube channel. Again, there are videos on it. Once we had that done, we eventually upgraded to 18-inch American Racing torque thrust 2s, front and rear. We got 8-inch in the front, we got 10-inch in the rear. So we did a staggered, and I love it. It looks really, really good. Tires, we just put some cheap tires on it, but they've been doing the trick for me. Up front, we've got 225 55 18, and in the back, we got 235 60s. We wanted to get a little extra height because with that drop kit, it looked like those rear springs were sagging a little bit, and it kept the ass end of this truck down low, and we didn't want no Carolina squat on this long box Chevy. Also, we were missing a couple pieces of trim. This piece along the box here, I found that. It had the black stripe on the inside, but I painted it. I found the paint, and we painted that to match the rest of the truck, and that gold is 77 only, unless you had a Gentleman Jim from 1975. A few other exceptions that people may have added in there as well, special trim packages. We do have a brand new steel wheel as a spare. I made sure that I had that for my trip down to Georgia, and I wanted to make sure that if anything happened, that size tire would fit front and or rear without causing me any issues with rubbing or tearing up the differential. At some point, we did upgrade the white mirrors to these aluminum or stainless ones. I love these mirrors. They're big. Yes, a lot of people don't like them, but I did. I didn't want to be left with putting smaller sport mirrors on here and having 3 holes in the door. So I just utilized the holes in the door, and I had a friend of mine out in Alberta who found these and picked them up for me, sent them to me, and I think they're a great upgrade on this truck. Also, we had the windows tinted on the sides. They are legal in the side here in New Brunswick, Canada, and on the back, it is actually a little bit darker. But it helps when you're driving down the road. You get the sun beating on your neck. You're not burning yourself as you're driving down the road. Yes, this truck has a tonneau cover. Yes, the bows are right here. They just insert like so. They just kind of pressure fit into place. I've got it rolled up because I had all that crap in the back, and hence that's where all these snaps are coming from all around the perimeter of the box. It comes in handy. I like the tonneau cover. I don't like the snaps, but if you remove the tonneau cover, again, you're going to have holes all the way around your box. Great thing. Should help with a little bit of fuel economy. Not that you're going to buy this truck for fuel economy. But speaking of which, we did also upgrade the engine and transmission. The original 350 cubic inch and the TH350 transmission, we took it out and we sold that as a set to somebody. He's using it in a hot rod for himself. We found another donor block. We rebuilt it, 350, 4-bolt main. It's got a cam. It's got flat top pistons. It's also got Edelbrock RPM intake, and it's got Phytec fuel injection. The air conditioning on this truck works. When I was looking for a truck, I wanted one with factory air. Cruise control, aftermarket, Dakota Digital. We installed this before our trip to Georgia. Works A1. Same thing with the air conditioning. Works great. We were having alternator issues, but the problem we were having with it wasn't necessarily a bad alternator. It was the cables weren't doing their job. They were almost 50-year-old cables. So when we replaced that cable, the ground cable, and another one, that seemed to fix our charging issue. We've also got Sanderson stainless steel headers, and they go back into dual exhaust, 2.5-inch stainless steel from Lyle's, an exhaust company here in Canada. And they exit out the back, as you saw previously in the video, through the side. And at one point in time, we were chasing down a noise throughout the drivetrain somewhere. We could not find it. And in an attempt to find that noise, we did replace the clutch fan. We also replaced the hanger bearing. We also changed the fluid, the differential, thinking, well, maybe it had water, maybe it was bearings, maybe it was something back there. But we tended to fix that problem when we adjusted the pinion angle. The noise went away. Go figure. Once upon a time, on my way back from the campground where we were staying, I was driving the truck in the fog and I hit a baby deer. So it took out the grill. It pushed the bumper back just ever so slightly so that you can almost see the protrusion on the bumper bolts. It bent up this piece here a little bit, as well as this piece of stainless. Other than that, we found the grill necessary to put it back in from a 77, and I was satisfied with the repair. We've upgraded the headlights to a halogen setup, not LED, but if you wanted to go LED, that's entirely up to you. I'm not sure if I mentioned it at the beginning or not, but this is an original paint truck. With the exception of the tailgate, which I had to paint, and the cab corners and rockers, everything on this truck is original. The hood, the doors, all the back, the fenders, all that is original. I wanted to keep this as original as possible, but I will go over some of the small defects in the paint later on in this video when we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And one more thing under the hood here is that when I bought the truck, the master cylinder was bad, didn't have much for brakes, so we did put a new master cylinder on it. Regrettably, I did not clear coat it before I put it on, so it is a little rusty looking there. Felt I could clean that up, paint it black if you wanted to. And it also has a brand new radiator. As we make our way into the interior, when I initially did the cab corners and rocker panels, I also had some of this Dynamat type product that we installed in the floor to help quiet this cab down. And between the Dynamat product and the insulation, inside of this cab is surprisingly not that bad. As you can see, we upgraded the seat to an OBS seat, an old body style truck, an 88 to 98 style truck. I believe this one was actually out of a 94, maybe a 97 work truck. And we did a video on that, converting the old bench seat, I'll leave that linked right up here, to this OBS. It's all factory brackets from the bench seat on the original, and we just kind of modified it to fit this seat. We also got rid of the old carpet, and as you'll see when this is all said and done, we'll be putting that carpet back into this truck. With the help of Retro Manufacturing, they gave me a sponsorship so that we were able to upgrade to a Bluetooth radio that fits in the factory holes. This dash has not been cut up, and when you turn this on, it's all a digital display right down here, so you don't have to worry about not being able to be connected or play your favorite tunes. And along with the Retro Manufacturing upgrade, we added the kick panel speakers here on the driver's side, as well as the passenger side. And behind the seat, we got 6x9s in boxes. As I mentioned earlier, we installed cruise control, the Dakota Digital, so we do have a factory style controller here, which I've fished the wires down through. One of my only regrets on this truck is not installing tilt. Although we still run the factory steering column, tilt would have been nice on that long trip to Georgia. So another thing I'll show you while we're in here is all the gauges work. Shows that it's charging, lots of oil pressure at idle, and the temperature is slowly starting to come up, although it's only 27 degrees out here today. And the gas gauge is showing just under a quarter of a tank. And here in New Brunswick, Canada, our vehicles have to pass a safety inspection once every 2 years. This passed a safety inspection right out of the gate before I did anything to it, with the exception of the master cylinder. The emergency brake works, all the brakes work, no pulsation when you're stepping on the brakes, wipers work. And this thing will be due for inspection here in New Brunswick come August. If you're in Canada and you need it inspected, we can do that. We have a shop right here. We can get it up in the air for you. If you want to see the underside of this truck, again, go back and look at any of my old videos where we actually had the box off, where I did the C-notch kit in the rear. You will see what kind of shape this truck is in. When we did the Phytech fuel injection, we did an in-tank pump, but we also put a brand new gas tank in it. So that's got a brand new gas tank in there. 20 gallon, I believe. It's the long one because it's a long bed. And I believe that based on my trip to Georgia, you could probably stretch it to about 300 miles on a tank of fuel. We averaged, on average, I say, about 15 and a half miles per gallon with this thing. Depends on the terrain you're driving on. There was one day where we were driving fairly flat going down from Virginia to Tennessee, I believe. And I think that stretch, we got about well over 18 miles per gallon. But we were doing a lot of mountainous driving up and down hills and stuff like that. And we were having the cruise control set at like 65, 70 mile an hour. So I still have the original seat sitting over here in the corner of the original bench seat. If you were inclined to want that with the truck, you're more than welcome to take it. All the brackets are still there on the bottom of the seat that's in there. So it would just be a matter of, half a day's work, changing things back over. Some of the other things that we had to do as part of regular maintenance in here was we had to replace the ignition switch, the keyed switch here, as well as the switch down on the actual column. One day, the key just wouldn't turn. So we replaced the ignition cylinder, and when we went to go put that in, We found that the ignition switch itself wasn't quite making contact, only about 50% of the time. We tried to adjust it as much as possible. At the end, we ended up just simply putting a new ignition switch in it, as well as the key, and so that is all new. Also, we replaced the cigarette lighter so that it works so you can charge your phone. So as I mentioned earlier, this truck is an original paint truck, again with the exception of the cab corners, rockers, and the bottom of the fenders. It's original paint. The hood, the roof, the doors, the side panels, the box panels, all are original, but they're flawed. Why are they flawed? Because this is a 50-year-old truck with original paint. So I want to point out some of these flaws. Some will need attention at some point in time. Others, like, you could probably let it go for a long time and never have to worry about it, like I would do if I was going to continue to own this truck. The front fenders are showing little signs. There's actually a little tiny pinhole right there. Little signs of rust that come through a little bit right there. And you're going to say, well, Jason, why wouldn't you replace the whole fender instead of just replacing the patch? It's easy. An original paint vehicle is only original paint one time. So I wanted to preserve as much of that as possible. And I'm okay with nicks and picks and scratches and rust as long as it looks good. And I believe, I'm biased, but I believe, in my opinion, this truck really does look good. The hood, it's got a small little crack or a little hole right there. And the paint has worn off a little bit along here. It's pretty thin. It's patina, guys, kinda, if that's what you want to call it. There are some imperfections in the paint. Looks like somebody drugged something across here. A little wear mark there. There's something up there. There are picks and scratches and bug dents and whatnot all over this truck. There's the rust on this fender. Come up and along the top of that trim. As we get down here by the door, you'll see there's some rust down on the bottom of the door. And if we open this door, you'll see it's not terrible. There's no holes through or anything like that. And it's actually still in really good shape. We cannot say the same for the driver's side door. Although on the outside, it looks pretty good. On the inside, she's seen better days. There's actually some crap still in there. I didn't want to touch it too much simply because I didn't want to be poking bigger holes in it and force myself to make a repair. Same thing down here. There's the same idea right down in there and a small little hole right here. Once again, guys, you can patch the bottoms of these doors. These panels, these patch panels are available, and try to preserve as much of the original part of the door as you want. If you're buying this truck with the idea of doing a complete restoration, repairing all the panels, or replacing all the panels, by all means do it. But you simply lose the original paint idea of this truck. On the box sides, both box sides are similar. The top is just showing, again, signs of wear and age. But down here, this is solid here. We got some picks and scratches up here. On the driver's side, it does have a hole right there. And again, you can buy these patch panels and just kind of patch that in. The tailgate is not original. I did have to find another tailgate because the other one was rusty. And I did paint that and swapped all the trim over. Over here behind this wheel well on the back, on the passenger side, not as bad. No major holes, just starting to show some age there. Up here on the roof, you can tell where something's been drug across the roof a time or two. A little bit of a dent right there. And the windshield, I don't know if it's an original windshield. I'm guessing maybe it probably was because of the way that this is all discolored, this trim here. This normally would be chrome, but there are no leaks. None of the windows, none of the doors leak. The side vent windows do not open. Previous owner has got some gunk or some goo in here to hold that shut. Maybe they leaked, maybe they wouldn't stay closed. Maybe he was trying to keep the wind noise down. I don't know. Both vent windows are sealed up. I think if you could get those cut open, they would open because they're still in good shape, but I would think it would be time to probably replace some seals. Speaking of seals, I did replace the inner and outer trim here to help keep water from going down inside the door and rotting it any further than it may already be. Of course, the wipers are good. Again, as you can see, you might not be able to see it by my reflection, but the dash is cracked here, as well as all the common places up here by the speaker. Again, I believe it to be an original dash. No reason to believe otherwise. I think at some point somebody has either replaced this bezel or replaced this bezel. The truck is a Scottsdale. It's got the Scottsdale wood grain here, but it doesn't have the wood grain on this bezel nor on the doors. So I'm not quite sure what kind of trim this would have been. If you guys know anything about square bodies at all, is that the trim packages never ever made sense, unless you went with like a Silverado and it came with pretty much everything. But yeah, no, the trim in here I don't think matches 100%. Maintenance wise, the fluids have always been changed. Obviously the antifreeze was changed when we rebuilt the motor. Also the oil changes were done on a regular basis. I bought the truck with 81,000 original miles on it. It now has 96,000. Although I've had it for over 4 years, the truck has had regular oil changes on it. When I did my trip to Georgia, I did an oil change. When I came back from that, obviously 3,000 miles on that trip. So I did one within about 2 weeks of each other, simply because of the mileage that I put on that trip. The rear diff fluid has been changed. We did have the alignment done when we did all the front end, so all of that's good. The tires don't seem to be wearing. AC, the AC system is old. I retrofitted from R12 to R134A simply by adding the adapters to the pipes. And when I top it up, it works great. Usually it will last until the following year, and then you got to top it up again. So if there's a slow leak in there somewhere, well, there might be. But otherwise, I'm happy with it. I specifically wanted an AC truck. I got it, and it works. Final thing is price. Make sure you are pricing according to the market. You can get, do I believe my truck is worth more than one found on the side of the road that hasn't been touched in 30 years? Absolutely. Do I think it's Barrett Jackson quality and I'm going to get, 60, 70,000 out of it? Not at all. I believe with everything that I've done with this truck mechanically as well as cosmetically, and all the maintenance that we've done, all the little upgrades, the cruise control, the air conditioning, and just simply the condition and the way the truck shows, I believe it is an above, and in fact, I'm probably biased, but I believe it's an above average condition truck for what it is. You guys who know these trucks, who know all about them and where to look and what to find, in my opinion, once I get the carpet back in here, once I get the power steering fixed, you can get in this truck and you could drive this home no matter where you live in North America. Are you going to have any problems going home? The likelihood is very, very low. I never say never because things happen, but you could get in this and you could drive it home no matter where you were driving it to. That brings us to the price. Taking into account everything that I have done with this truck, I want 21.5 Canadian. And I will flash up on the screen what today's exchange rate is on US dollars, because a majority of my audience is in the US. That should put it roughly right around the 15K US dollar range. So if you think that this truck is worth, DM me, email me. I'm going to leave my email right here so you guys can reach out. If you don't think it's worth that, I'm okay with you not thinking it's worth that. But don't insult me by sending me lowball offers. I would love to see you come look at and drive this truck and appreciate the value that's in it. Just because you can't afford doesn't mean I should be discounting my truck. If you can afford it and you think the value is not quite there, talk to me. Reach out to me. Tell me what you're thinking. If I can answer any questions, I will do whatever I can to help make the sale of this truck so much easier. It is a tough decision to make for me to sell this truck after putting all the time and effort into this truck. You guys know in the summertime, I daily drive this thing. And even my wife says, you will regret selling it. And yes, I will, 100%. I'm already regretting making this video, but I've got bigger plans. I want to get into a square body Suburban, and I want it to be two-wheel drive. I want to do a lot of the similar things that I did to this, but I also want to go modern drivetrain. I also want to go possibly with airbag suspension. Things that I've never dabbled in before, I want to try, and I want to do it on a Suburban. When I was looking for this truck, in fact, I had in the back of my mind if the right Suburban came along, but this truck came along. This is what I bought, obviously. I've made it my own. If you're looking at the lettering on the door, you can keep that on there if you like. You're more than happy to. But because it's pinstripe, it does remove very easily. So if you want to take that off, put your own on there, you can. So don't let that deter you from buying the truck. That will come off. I believe a lot of the old folks will tell you if you use oven cleaner on a rag, it will soften up that paint, and you can wipe it right down and not affect the factory paint. Although this is the official for sale video for Dale the Truck, it is not likely going to be the last, because if it does sell, we will make sure that we show you guys that process and who bought it, whether it's going stateside, whether it's staying in Canada, maybe it's even staying local, who knows. And guys, I do have some new merch on the website, so if you're looking for your very own Olde Carr Guy university style tee, I've got those on there, available in many colors and sizes. Hope you can support the channel to help me move forward in growing my channel. And I end every video with saying, stay focused on the windshield, not the rearview mirror. I love you guys. God bless. Let's do it again in the next video.